Amy from Amy's Crafts Boutique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet a double crochet stitch, which is also known as a single crochet stitch in US terminology. I've made another video about the difference between terminology, which I've linked below so you can take a look at that. Leaving a tail of about 6 inches or so, we're going to make a slip knot. So take the long end of the yarn, wrap it around your fingers to make a cross. Take your hook and insert it under the first strand and over the second strand of yarn, and pull that off your fingers and onto your hook. And tighten that up just by pulling on the yarn. We're now going to crochet 20 chain stitches. So yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So we've got 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 20 stitches. For this project, we're going to make sure every row has 20 stitches, and that will help us to keep our edges nice and straight. We're now going to work back along the row of chains that we've created. So as you can see, use this hook to point it out, these are the stitches that we've created, and each one has a small gap. Yeah, and this is where we're going to be inserting our hook. So the first thing we need to do is crochet a turning chain. So that's just 1 extra chain stitch. We're going to start crocheting in the second chain from the hook. So we don't count the loop that's on the hook, and we can't crochet into this first chain stitch, because if we do, the yarn unravels. I'll just redo that one. So we don't count the loop on the hook. We can't crochet into the first chain stitch, so we crochet into the second stitch from the hook, which is this one here. So we insert our hook into that chain stitch, yarn over and pull through that 1 stitch, and as you can see there's now 2 stitches on the hook. We yarn over again and pull through both of those stitches. And that is the double crochet stitch, or the single crochet in US terms. So we'll do that again. Insert the hook into that next stitch, yarn over and pull through. There's now 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through both of those. We're going to keep doing that into each chain stitch. So this is our next one. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both of those loops. Again, insert the hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. It can be a bit tricky to hold this, particularly when your project is so small, but it does get easier as it grows. So you just want to make sure your row of chains here doesn't get twisted like this. You want to keep it nice and flat, so we're going into the top of each chain. And as you can see, it's quite likely to curl up a little bit, but don't worry about that, it will smooth itself out as you do more rows. So we're just going to do the double crochet into each stitch along. So insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, and yarn over and pull through both of those loops. I'm just going to do that all the way along. We're going to do that all the way along right until the very last chain stitch. and there we should have 20 double crochet stitches. At this point I would suggest you count them to make sure that you haven't missed a stitch or added an extra stitch. And the way that we can do that is by looking along the top of the stitches and counting these V's that you can see. So we've got one here where the loop is coming from, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. So this is how you can count your stitches. So we're now going to go back and crochet along the row that we've just created. Again, we need to do a turning chain, so that's just one extra chain stitch, and then turn your work. So you can turn it to face yourself, or you can turn it away from yourself, it doesn't matter, but I would suggest that you stick to one or the other. So you turn your work, and this time we're going to crochet into each stitch along the row. So we're going to start with this stitch here. So if I just show you, these are the stitches. So we're going to insert the hook into the first stitch. And what you might notice this time is there are actually now 2 loops on your hook when you insert it through that stitch. And that is going to be the same for every crochet stitch you do, apart from when you are crocheting into your starting chain. So there's always going to be 2 loops on the hook. So when you insert your hook into that stitch, you're going through the 2 loops. You then yarn over and pull through. You've got 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through again. So we're doing the same double crochet stitch. So into the next stitch, you're going to find the space. You've got 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through again. And we're just going to do that all the way along. Find in the space in the chain stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through again. The good thing about crochet is that it's really easy to undo. So if you think you've made a mistake, just take your hook out, pull on your yarn to undo some of your stitches, and then you can just insert your hook back into the loop and carry on. So just inserting your hook into each stitch, making sure you've got 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So we're just going to do that along each of the 20 stitches that you made in the previous row. We're going to make sure that we crochet right up until the last stitch. So as you can see there, insert the hook through the stitch, make sure we've got both of the loops, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through again. Again, I would suggest you go back and count your stitches to make sure you've still got 20. To be honest, I don't always count after every row, but I do try and count after every couple of rows because it is much easier to spot that you've made a mistake 1 or 2 rows later rather than realising 10 rows later and having to undo all your hard work. So I would recommend that you do count your stitches regularly. You can also count the stitches as you're crocheting them once you get comfortable with the stitches. So we're now going to go back along this row and crochet into those stitches again. So we do a churning chain, turn our work the same way as we have been doing, and we're going to be going into each of the stitches. So our first stitch is here, insert our hook into that stitch. Again, we've got the 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. Again, yarn hook through the loops, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. You don't want your stitches to be too tight, but as you get confident with this, your tension will even itself out. As you can see, it's starting to be a little bit less curly, and as we do more rows, it'll flatten itself out a little bit more as well. And this is the basic double crochet stitch, or single crochet stitch in US terms. I would suggest you keep going. Each time you move on to a new row, remember your turning chain, and each time remember to chain into your first stitch on your row and crochet all the way along to the last stitch, and that should be 20 stitches on each row. And I'd suggest you keep going until you've made a square of double crochet stitches. Hopefully by that point you'll feel much more confident with this stitch, and you'll be able to either make something from your double crochet stitch or learn another stitch. And I'm going to make a video for both of those options that you'll be able to find on my channel. So feel free to subscribe to my channel to find videos of other crochet stitches and for ideas of things that you can make with just this double crochet stitch. So as you can see, I've finished my sample piece. I've got 20 stitches across and I've done it 20 rows high as well. Because I was counting my stitches on each line, I've managed to keep my edges nice and straight. I think this is a really pretty stitch. I think it looks like little flowers, and it's a really nice stitch to learn. It's got a nice texture to it as well. So if you want to carry on practicing until you've made a sample piece and you feel confident with this stitch, then you can move on to make something using the double crochet stitch, or we can learn the next stitch.